Okay, folks, we're back with another Reformed Film Lab podcast episode. Do you know? You're our editor. You should know.
12.
Episode 12.
Wow.
And it's called the Anythonys Expired Film interview.
Oh.
We have Anthony all the way down from
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Actually, right when you said that, the pack orders came to mind.
Pack orders.
Because we've done pack orders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, normally when we do the pack orders, it's like, hey, we have such and such from the town and state.
Oh,
So
yeah,
right when
yeah.
you said it, I was New
That's
Jersey. Today he's buying. And then we go for the back order.
Yep.
It's down to a science.
Yeah, Anthony, so tell us, why are you down in Florida? I mean, are you trying to escape the cold or?
Partly I am, partly because it's been very cold in New Jersey. Whenever I come down here, I like to visit you guys now. You're my favorite lab. Do such a great job. I'm developing a lot of my own, but when I really want it to count, I send it to you guys for some expert developing.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we went out to breakfast this morning and you said you've been developing film at home, like with the Cinestill kits,
Yes.
their little C41 kits.
Yes, yeah. And they do a pretty good job. With expired film, they come out a little blue sometimes, but I try to correct it in Photoshop if I can. Expired film is really a great way to go. I started out really for economic reasons. I retired late 2019, and then in 2020, I wanted to get back into film because I had been shooting film like in the 80s and 90s, you know, before the internet,
glory
before
years.
Instagram. Yeah. And
When were you born, Sierra?
Yeah.
2004.
oh my God, I have some film from 2000.
Sierra's big 21 this year.
Yeah.
Wow. 2020 is right when there was a shortage of film.
Yeah, there really
and
was.
All these young people were getting into film, and so there wasn't much to be had. So I went on eBay, and there were all kinds of film from the 2000s, color film, the gold, and Ultramax. When you buy it in a film lot, they were usually about maybe $4 to $5 a roll. It was less than buying the fresh film.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. I started accumulating and buying film, and I bought some old cameras, and I really wanted to get back into photography. And I figured with expired film, if I mess up a roll, it's not so bad, you know, and it's all for fun. That's what I'm doing. And I started an Instagram account because I found myself going to my local park and shooting the trees and the lake and the fountain. 90%.
Oh, I know the fountain you're talking about. Yeah, I think
It's
we've
the
seen
same
it.
fountain.
We've seen it the same fountain a lot. Yeah.
But one of the cool things is if I shoot at different seasons with different film, it all has a different look to it. For example, I recently shot a roll of the Raleigh Infrared 400.
Yeah.
And I put it in a Holga, believe it or not, with a red filter.
That's one of John's favorite cameras, the Holga. He shoots it a lot.
No, really? Okay.
No. we have a lab Hasselblad, and whenever we go out to film videos, he has permanently neurologically switched it in his brain to where he just calls it the Holga, and then we laugh at him.
That's okay. But believe it or not, because I don't have that fancy, really dark infrared filter, all I have is a red filter. So I taped it with some masking tape around the lens of the Holga, loaded up the film, and went to the park. I wasn't quite sure because the Holga likes 100 and 200 speed film the best, or 50. So this is 400, so I figured the red filter will bring down the ISO. And I said, well, maybe I'll get some infrared effects. Who knows? When I got the film, when I developed the film using the stand method, I don't know if John knows about that. I wanted to talk to him about it. It was a sunny day, and the light on the leaves reflected bright white. It looked like those infrared pictures you see.
Yeah.
And
so
the
cool.
grass was white. It was really amazing. I have it posted on my account if you want to take a look. But I was just amazed. I think because this film in particular is more sensitive to the infrared light. It's made that way. And just a simple red filter really gave me a wonderful effect. I was really pleased with that. So did you want me to talk about the...
Well, yeah, I was going to say, let's transition to what we have on the table today.
I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah. I'll let you go last because I feel like there's a lot to that. Sierra, what did you put on the table today?
I put the glasses right there. They're actually really cool. They're made by
Totally cool.
the glass being completed, and then they superheat the one area with a blowtorch, and then they stick the film canister into the glass. So it looks really cool, very interesting.
They've been perpetually on sale at Reformed Film Lab for a couple of years.
Well, that was one of the reasons I came down. I heard there was a few left, so I thought,
There's a few left.
Oh,
So yeah, there was a company that made them. Maybe I feel like it had to have been at least 3 or 4 years ago because
It was a while ago.
I think we bought them when we were in the garage
Really?
Or maybe not. Maybe it was when we first moved here.
Okay.
But anyways, it was like one Christmas, maybe Christmas 2021 or 2022. The distributor, one of our distributors said, "Hey, this company's making these cups. Do you want them?" And I'm like, "Yeah, these would sell like hotcakes during the holidays." And so I bought. There's like a Tri-X one, an HP5, and a Portra, and then they have the rocks and the pint. So I bought like maybe 50 of each one, each size. And we still have majority of them. They just never sell.
don't
I mean,
sell
they're
very
cool.
often. They're a
And you can
very
actually-
niche thing.
And you can actually use them, right? You can actually
I have one at home.
put
Yeah.
your
And I
Diet
use
Coke
it.
in there and go
Your
to town,
Diet
right?
Yeah,
Coke or
and-
your Diet Dr. Pepper.
Diet Dr. Pepper Zero.
And you know
Dr.
they
Pepper Zero, man. All the way.
they say they're alcohol glasses, but you can use it for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use it for water. It does not matter.
Because first I thought it was like one of those trick glasses. When you drink, it kind of it'll spill on you. I said, that can't
Yeah.
be real. Like, is it, what,
That
what
would be
is
even
that?
better because then we can just give them away to people and trick them. No.
That's horrible.
But yeah, we have way too many. So I essentially said we're going to use them as promo items for 2025. So we kind of zeroed them out for 2024 tax purposes. And we're kind of giving them away. So you get one today. And
It's very exciting.
we're going to figure out how we're going to give these away because we have too many. And I just want to
Yeah.
get rid of them off of our shelves at this point.
Yeah.
Those
So,
fa-
Paul, you're going to go home with one today.
packing, I think you give them away with each of the packing videos you make over the next 2 weeks, and
You
you're
could.
done.
Yeah, every pack order gets
Every
a
pack
free
order.
pint.
So in your orders, if you want one of these pints, just say,
You
a cup
could.
or whatever.
yeah,
Say what,
Yeah,
say what
do
film
it.
Say
you
the
prefer.
secret word, and then you'll get one.
you'll get one totally. Yeah, so we're just trying to get rid of them. They are cool though, and don't put them in the dishwasher. Just hand wash them. That's the only thing you have to keep in
That's
mind.
good. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah, because that's not just pure the manufacturer. I have actual experience with that. I went in the dishwasher, and now the little canister is all kind of crusty and I think
Oh, it
some
gets
water.
rusted,
It
yeah.
gets water inside. So very
Yeah.
much hand wash these.
It is sealed, but yeah, it wouldn't be able to take
I've heard of souping film, but that's a
dishwasher.
whole different thing.
That's a whole ball game.
different ballgame.
Totally. I have on the table today, let's pull it out, a sample pack of Ilford paper, not because we sell the paper, but we just got a brand new printer in, and we're going to have like a Reformed print shop at Reformed Film Lab. And I've always been a big fan of the Ilford Gallery papers. I've always printed all my personal photographs on this particular brand of paper years before I opened the lab. So I've already reached out to Ilford, and we're talking about getting kind of variety of papers, basically different finishes.
Yeah,
you have
either
like
matte or
glossy,
glossy.
matte, semi-gloss,
Right.
and they have a few fine art papers that have a unique look to them. And so we would be able to offer various print sizes, but then if you like a particular sheen, you would be able to select your paper type.
Yeah.
And we just have to get that set up. Should be in the coming weeks or months, depending on when this goes
It's so
live.
funny because what's old is new. Before the internet, all we got were prints back from
No
from
digital.
photo finishes. You just got and one of the things that I wasn't crazy when it first came out, the Kodacolor 400, the ancestor to Ultramax. It was so grainy. I said I'll never use this film, but fast forward to today, Ultramax is like one of the nicest films. 400 films out
It
there.
really is, yeah.
And you would never know it was that it's actually a 400 film because the grain is there, but it's very subtle.
Yeah,
and
you,
has nice warm
you shot
tones.
that at the Boca Gardens?
Boca Gardens,
Boca
yes. It
Gardens.
was my second roll of film, and I actually loved it. And a lot of people said that the photos, they couldn't even tell that they were film almost. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't
Such
a
fine
heavy
grain.
grain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I, Bree's not here, so I can say this, but I
She'll be in
edited
later.
some of those photos to make the sky like it was it was an overcast day and there was like no sky, so I literally just used Luminar Neo, small little plug there. That's the funny, and replaced the sky to have like a blue sky with clouds.
Is that
to
the
look like a
program
normal
you
day.
use, really?
It is
the
a-
woman who's been emailing us?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Because I am an affiliate for
Did you see that
Luminar
email?
Neo, so.
I don't think so.
There's been this woman from Luminar Neo. I guess it's a AI editing software. And right when I saw AI, I was like, nope, don't. We've gotten too much trouble with AI lately. But I think they wanted to sponsor some videos or give us the software to try out. But
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
actually been using them since it used to be called Luminar AI,
okay.
and then they switched it to, when they came up with an updated version. They call it they switched to Neo, and then that's when I actually I was using Luminar AI, and I got a deal to upgrade to Neo, and so I have a full license.
Okay.
And I also actually reached out to them, and I became an affiliate for them. So I do some videos on my YouTube channel showing the software, how I remove things, how I use their AI enhanced, as they call it. But it really just is just a easy one slider tool in order to increase like the brightness, the contrast, just to add a little bit of flair. Obviously, like any tool in editing, if you overdo it, it just looks way too fake. And but if you it's all about the subtleties with that software.
Yeah,
so.
I wanted to try to see how it works on film images as opposed to digital.
Yeah.
It was recommended to me by one of my followers in the UK, Peter James Tyrrell. He has an Instagram account. He takes these fantastic photos of London at night from rooftops. It's like Batman with a photographer. He's on the rooftop, and they're just gorgeous. And he told me about the Luminar software, and that he's using that in conjunction with Lightroom and just as a mix of software. And he says it's really, really good. So I tried it based on his recommendation. I've just used it a little bit. Haven't done much of it yet. I can't speak as an affiliate yet, but I'm getting there.
It's a great piece of software, and you can also use it as a plugin for Adobe. So if you don't want to stop using Lightroom, but you want to use some of the tools and features that Luminar has, it's easy. They have a easy plugin that you just can run, and it'll open up Luminar Neo. You can use the tools, and then it just shoots you right back to Lightroom, and you can continue editing in Lightroom if that's what you're used to. So anyway,
well, maybe
a small little
we'll
plug
have
there, but
Bree email this lady back because Bree likes to edit her photos.
hey, Bree can make some pretty good videos. I'm just saying.
Yep.
You're all your team is very talented. They all do wonderful things here. It's just amazing.
Yes, I am very spoiled with good
Yeah.
stuff.
They're very good. Well,
Apply now. No?
And I see you have the Phoenix. Is
The
it
Phoenix.
The
Naturally.
Lego edition?
Yeah, we
That's
try to have
always.
the Phoenix in every YouTube video. I think we've been a little slack lately.
We may have.
There may be some
a few
videos of
that
no
have
Phoenix.
not made
We were
the
on a
Phoenix in.
streak for a while because when the Harmon Phoenix film came out, I think
That was our first video.
that was our first YouTube video.
Yeah.
That was when I got the
remember
call from Michael. He's like, "We're going to do this finally."
Yeah.
Is what you said,
Yeah.
Paul.
I've
But that
used-
was in the last podcast. If you want to hear more about that story and the Phoenix story, we just talked
episode
all
11.
about that.
Yeah,
Last
you were
that's
for
true.
episode 11. Yep.
But I've used the 35 millimeter and the 120. I've shot both of those, and the colors are just turn up the brilliance, because I don't have the expert scanner that you have. Sorry, and but they kind of give an altered orange yellow
Yeah.
rose color glasses view of the world. But it's on an overcast day, the colors are pretty much just like they are as you see them. But when the sun comes out and hits those oranges and yellows, they just explode.
It really brings
Yeah.
it out.
They
Yeah, I
just
think pretty much
explode.
everything we've scanned from that film tends to be very punchy. If it's exposed well,
Yeah.
like on a bright day.
Have you adjusted your scanners for that in any way, or?
So when they initially came out with that film, prior to the release of the film, they had worked with a couple labs, I think one here in the States and then some over in Europe, where they gave them the film ahead of time, said, hey, scan this on your Noritsu and your Fuji scanners. Let's see what it looks like. Because there are a few settings that can be modified in the scanners. But I think when we got the film, we wanted to say, okay, well, what does this look like? And we never went into too many modifications because we didn't want to modify the scanners then because we scan, normally a lot of regular film. We didn't want to modify them. And I think we've kind of stuck on, let's just scan it as is, do the color corrections. And then just recently, Harman came out, recommended that scan it as a positive and do your own inversion with like Negative Lab Pro, which is a conversion software.
Oh, wow.
And they
I
said
never thought
that
of
they're
that.
getting more normalized results, but it's never anything that we've looked into per se.
And that'd be an extra
Yeah.
couple of steps.
Yeah,
that would
it
slow
would be
down your
extra steps for the
process, too.
customers.
Yeah.
Most customers probably wouldn't be.
No.
Yeah, and I know the
Interested.
film is a little different than your normal Gold 200, so they probably would like to see the difference in the colors with that.
Yeah, I
You know,
think
it's
some people
something
probably
different.
shoot that film and they like it. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I like that film.
Yeah,
Hey, Bree, welcome to work.
Hi, Bree.
but it's good to see some new color film coming out on the market.
Yeah,
It
I'm
really
interested
is.
to see if they have something for this year. Like if they're working
I
on
like to- yeah, I'm curious to
Phoenix
see.
2.0 or some other version of a color film.
Yeah,
I think
know.
they will.
I was hoping this past December maybe they would come out because it was a year since the 35
Yeah.
release, 35 millimeter.
Yeah, they did the 120 back in September, October. So we knew kind of that was coming. They trialed it with a 35. They had some success, and then when we got word that 120 was coming, we did kind of a follow up review on that.
And it's a little different than the 35, isn't it?
That's the rumor on the internet.
Yeah.
That's what I've read. Like people maybe who are really deep dive analysis people, I think have said that they see better like shadow detail retention.
Yeah,
in it.
I think I read somewhere that they actually made a little improvement.
Yeah,
to the
I wouldn't be
emulsion.
surprised. I mean, they made the film, and then because it was kind of like their first stab, Harman, who makes the Ilford films, for their first stab at the color film. So I wouldn't be surprised. But it'd be neat if they come out with another film. I mean,
Yeah, that'd be
Kodak's kind of not. I don't think they're going to make new films, but they're the only really color film manufacturer in the game.
They're the only game in town for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. Fuji's not really doing much as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it's really up in the air. I don't know
What was
what's
that?
happening to Fuji.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
the rumor that the Fuji is respooled.
I did get an email the other day. We're getting 10 rolls of slide film in. 10.
10.
10.
Lovely.
Oh, 10 whole rolls, man.
Yeah.
It'll go fast.
Yeah.
It
That's
will.
a special order, they call that, right?
No, it will go fast. With our Fuji slide film orders, go ahead. You can say it.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I don't even put them away. Like they stay out on the table because they sell within
That's
hours.
what you call they fly off the table. They fly off the
They-
shelf.
Fly
Right?
off the- they fly off
Yeah.
the
don't
table.
They
even
don't
get
even
on
get
the
to the
shelf,
shelf.
yeah.
They
The
stay out.
online shelves, essentially.
Yeah.
I really love the way that Fuji 100 looks. That Japan Fuji 100. I wish
Oh,
I
yeah,
wish
we
they would
imported
like
The
some.
reds are so intense. I've seen what you did.
Yeah.
And the reds are just,
$25 a roll.
my eyes were burning after. No, you kidding. But they're very intense, like turning up the brilliance in those colors. It's
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah, that was just straight out of the scanner. We didn't really.
I know.
we didn't do anything.
I would love for them to make a roll,
Photoshop that one.
like that. That'd be great for them to make a full on like a US version that sells. You know.
Yeah, and as far as I know, because when we got those in, they were fresh dated. Typically, when color film is made, it has like a 2-year out expiration date, or maybe 2.5 years.
Right.
And those expired in late 2026. So they would have been freshly made, because there was rumors like, oh, it's just old stock, but they seem to be making some film over there, just not their Superior 400H is gone. That was one of my favorites.
Sad day.
The internet was crying all at the same time when they discontinued that film, because it was I think I only shot 1 or 2 rolls, maybe a roll that I got from you, and
We'll hook you up today. We have some in our fridge. We kept some.
okay,
You're exposing the secret stash.
The secret stash. Our secret is out.
I'll sign the confidentiality agreement. I won't tell anybody.
Paul's just going to blur out this entire segment right now.
Well, speaking of blurring out, your microphone. I just realized your microphone cable is not plugged in all the way. I wonder if it was even working the entire time.
Uh-oh.
Snafu.
It should have been. I mean, it was picked up over there on the mic when I tested it.
That's wild.
Oh, okay.
We'll find out. All right, Anthony. So, what did you bring for the table today? Because you have probably the definitely the most interesting stuff.
Well, I brought 3 cameras that may be my new travel cameras. The one in the front is the Olympus XA2. I've had that one. I bought it myself in 1989 and used it on some trips to Europe. It was a perfect fit in the pocket. I had Gold 100. That was the film that I used back then. They don't make that anymore. And I took tons of pictures throughout Europe. The other camera to its left is the Agfa Isola. It's a 120 camera, very compact, easy to use.
Oh,
And the lens.
I wouldn't even thought of it looking at it.
Yeah, it's a 120 camera. The lens, you pop it out and turn it, and then you use it that way, and then you fold it back in when you're done. And it's kind of like a step above the Holga. I think I have more posts on Instagram using this camera than the others, because it really is easy to use. 120 loads easily, and it only has a limited amount of shutter speeds. It only has 50th, 100, and bulb. And only has 2 apertures,
Yeah.
6.3 and f11.
Okay.
So you
You're
kind of
really
limit it to
limited.
like the lower speed films. But I
Yeah,
found
yeah.
it really does a great job. I really like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of like sometimes customers will come in with really old, almost antique cameras, and they're all like very limited shutter speed. I
Yeah,
feel like we're
that's
very
how it is.
spoiled nowadays, but a long time ago, you didn't really have high shutter speeds.
That's right. And the other reason I like it is because it's not a bellows. Bellows are really, they're so iconic, their look, when you pull out the accordion
Yeah.
feature of the
Yep.
lens. Well, this has just a steel tube. So you just pull it out, twist it, and you don't have to worry so much about the bellows having pinhole light leaks here and there.
Yep.
So it's a great little camera. It's a 6x6 120 camera.
Okay.
And the other one is a Leica. I'm now part of the Leica Club.
Welcome
Ooh,
to the Leica
fancy.
Club.
It was handed down from my grandfather to my father, and I finally found it in the basement. It was lurking in the basement for many, many years. It's an M3. The serial number dates it to 1954.
Yeah, can't you look up
That's
the
crazy.
years
Yeah,
that you were
there's
made
a-
based on the serial number database?
On Wikipedia, there's a page that lists all the serial numbers to and from, and it has of all the models, and you can find out when it was made. And
1954?
This one's
Wow.
1954. It has a two-stroke. You have to do it 2 times to advance the film.
Yeah.
And it has a Nikkor lens, not a Leica
Yeah.
lens. I don't remember the name of them. But I said, wow. So I shot a roll of Tri-X. The first inaugural roll was Tri-X, my favorite black and white film.
I think that's fitting. Tri-X just
Yeah.
turned
70.
70, yeah.
70.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
we did a video.
1950.
I wasn't sure if it
1955.
was 70 or 75 there for a minute.
Yeah, Tri-X for 35 millimeter came out the year after this camera was made, 1955 or
That's
54.
wild.
No, 54. You're right.
No,
Same-
Tri-X just
the
turned
same-
100.
No,
No,
it
it
was
was
70
70.
from the 35
I don't have
millimeter.
my phone.
I edited it. I know. I
It's
made
70?
the thumbnail.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
70.
70 years. Yeah,
I'm
because
losing my mind here.
2024, 1954. It was 70 years. So that's when it came out beautifully. I mainly because I take mostly pictures in the park of trees and fountains and lakes. I had it on infinity the whole time, and I shot it at f/16, so I didn't have to worry about focusing too much.
Oh, yeah. Everything's in focus.
And they really came out great. And the second roll was, I believe it was Ultramax 400, and they came out beautifully too. So, and I only really had to use 3 shutter speeds. I used 50, 100, and 250. It goes up to 500, and it goes down 1/8 and a fourth and bulb. But I just wanted to limit my use because I didn't quite know if there were light leaks or if the shutter worked properly. So I just did a test on a couple of things, and it turned out really nice. I was very glad. So I'll be using that more in the future. It's a heavy camera
Yeah.
for its size.
And they're still pretty valuable. I mean, we were looking at it earlier. It's in really good condition. The lens is nice. It's probably a couple $1,000. I don't know.
You said that I'll have to buy a safe and put it in this safe. But
It was just in your
it's just-
base. It was in
people,
your
it's just a
basement.
camera. It's nothing too valuable. It's just a camera.
Just a camera. Just a camera.
But there are people who swear by Leicas. They're really, it's really the only camera for them. I know a gentleman, Pavlos is his name. He has also an Instagram site. He's been to 90 countries. He shoots exclusively Tri-X on his Leica. I don't know his model. Maybe it's the M2. I'm not sure. But so he swears by that. And I have another gentleman, follower. He has his channel's called Shutter Slaps. He's in Australia. He just got an M1. So I'm going to go visit Australia soon. I don't want to give the date. And we're going to compare. We're going to be 2 old Leica people. Oh, what kind of focus is used?
He's in the Leica Club now. I mean, that's just.
It's an,
that's just-
yeah, so
you're in the
he's
Leica
very
Club.
excited about it too. So we're gonna get together and shoot it. So so that's I wanted to bring something for your show and tell.
Yeah.
because I learned that you
Yeah,
wanted to have me on a
that's quite
podcast.
the
So I
show and tell.
appreciate
Really
that.
cool.
Yeah. Well, you gotta get that red circle. That
I
emblem.
don't think it has a red circle. I'll have to look at it again. I'm
Once
not
you're in the Leica Club, you get that red circle.
Oh,
You-
okay.
The red dot. red circle.
Now speaking of, if I can continue with expired film,
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Jump right into it.
I recently got some film from another of my followers in Australia. Ace
Anthony has followers all over the world, that's kind of the world we live in. It's amazing that you
Yeah.
can just have something
Yes.
and then literally people all over the world.
Yes. And I'm very selective. There's only a few that I really chat with and talk to. And you can tell the sincerity of people and they put their heart into their photography. Those are the kind of people that I like to chat with and talk to. And Ace is his name. He had some film. It included a roll of Ektar 25 and a roll of Ektar 1000. And that film was discontinued in 1995 or 1994. So, and the rolls didn't have boxes. They only came in their little plastic capsules.
I remember that. I
And
was
the
8 years old.
Yeah.
8 years old. I was
And
so
the lid
disappointed.
had the little sticker on it, so you knew exactly what it was. So, so I shot the roll of 1000 at 400. Came out very grainy. I probably could have shot it at 200, but they came out grainy. But you can still see. It's today's post actually. I don't know when you're going to have this
It's
out.
right there. It's on the screen.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
And but they came out grainy and kind of moody and dark, and I just played with the contrast a little bit in Photoshop, and they look really, really cool, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll let the people decide how they like it. And the other roll was the XR25. So I said, all right, I shot it at ISO 6. I went down 2 stops, so 25, 12, then
Where
to
did you
6.
shoot it on like a bright day? Being
Yeah,
on
it was
such
a
a low
sunny day.
ISO. Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
sunny day, and I actually shot it in the Leica, I believe. Yeah, the 1000 I shot at 400 in a Canon camera, which I don't have here, a Canon Rebel 2000 with a 40 millimeter STM lens.
That little pancake lens.
Yeah, the little pancake.
That's a nice
it's
lens.
cool. It makes it
Yeah,
nice and compact for
Yeah, yeah.
traveling.
I want to get a Canon. I do.
I know you do.
I want to get. Well, I have a Canon the vintage one. I want to get that autofocus so I can just take it around and just.
And the STM
shoot
lens
one.
is nice because it focuses very fast. But make sure it works on your camera. I tried the STM lens on a Canon the Rebel 500N, and it had some trouble. It wasn't. Maybe it's the camera. I'm not sure. But when I put it on the Rebel 2000, it worked fine.
Yeah.
So, but tomorrow I'll be posting the results from the Ektar 25, and they came out really nice.
Okay.
So maybe you'll if we go into the future, you may see a post. Maybe you can flash one on the screen. I'll
of
leave
course.
it to you. But I had the Ektars back with the 100 because it really was at the time. It really was like the finest grain color film that you can buy, and even the 1000 speed was touting. You know, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can be in bright light, shoot fast sports photography with the 1000 ISO, or low light photography, and the grain was very minimized because of the way they did the emulsion. So I actually have to try the Ektar 100. I haven't tried it yet.
You haven't tried it?
I haven't tried it yet.
So do you
that'll be
primarily
my
just shoot expired film, or do you ever find yourself venturing into fresh film?
Lately, I've been shooting a little more fresh, just to make sure I'm developing it right. I'm developing some myself, but the good shots I send to you guys are the masters.
It's all Sierra. I mean,
No,
Sierra's a pro.
I'm the online person. I don't do this.
She's assistant to the regional manager.
There you go. There you go. But I do
that.
mostly primarily shoot expired film, and I use the rules that I've found on the internet for color negative film. Every decade you add a stop or just divide the ISO in half for each decade.
every decade you do
Every
that?
decade I do that. For the color negative film. Color positive reversal film, I shoot it at box. I've only shot a little bit of expired slide film, and I get results that are all over the map. Sometimes they're all magenta, sometimes they're all cyan. But I did shoot a roll of E200, Ektachrome 200 from 2002, and I put it in a Canon. I can't think of what they're called, but it was an automatic. You know, it read the ISO from the cartridge.
Yeah,
so I
the
shot
DX
at
coding.
I shot at box speed, and it came out beautiful. I developed it cross process in C41 because I don't do E6.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was amazed, and it's one of my posts on the on Instagram as well. So if you get a good roll of slide film and you develop yourself, or if you send it out and you ask for C41, it really comes out nice. It comes out nice.
Yeah, it seems like that's what we've seen where people send in really old slide film. So you have slide film, black and white and color, neg, and slide film tends to be the one that fades the quickest.
It does. It really does.
Black and white, I mean, we've developed black and white from the 70s, and if it was exposed well and we develop it, it just looks perfectly
Yeah.
normal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I call if you ever gotten a roll of VariChrome Pan, that's an old.
We've seen that one.
It's an old black and white
Yep.
film from. It started in the 30s and up until 1954 it was orthochromatic. 54 they changed the name to VariChrome Pan to make it panchromatic.
Okay.
That's why you'll see VariChrome Pan.
Yeah.
'Cause they changed
Sierra,
the
when she does
formulation.
all our check-ins, she'll sometimes get like really old
Really
film.
old
You're
ones.
like,
I'll be like, hey, just sanity check. Can we develop this?
Yeah, right.
Or is there
yeah, it's
anything
not
special about
often,
it?
but we'll get them in, and yeah, I mean they can still be processed much better than
Yes.
slide or color.
And the
neg.
VariChrome Pan, I've shot a roll of VariChrome Pan from 1972, and it came out perfectly. I put it in an old brownie where you have no control over the shutter speed or aperture, and it came out beautifully. It was just amazing. And I develop it using the stand method, which means you put it in the developing tank with a 1:100 dilution of either HC110 or Ilfosol 3 or T-Max developer. So
Right.
I use 10 milliliters of the developer, and then I fill the 2-roll tank with water. You agitate it for a little bit in the beginning, let it sit for an hour. Just let it sit. Every 20 minutes, though, I just go over and I turn
Turn it
the
a little
swizzle
bit.
stick just for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for 35 millimeter. But I mainly do this for like the 120 and the 620 film, which is the same except for the spool. and it comes out really good because you don't have to worry about, sometimes if you use the massive dev chart with those specific times, and if the ISO kind of faded after all these years and you develop it at a certain ISO, it may not come out right. But stand developing develops the film until it's done, and because it's such a dilute, you just leave it there and it develops until the highlights are done, the dark areas have a little detail, and it's the same process no matter what ISO you use. So you can have
Really?
400 ISO, a 125
And how long does it
ISO.
develop for typically?
Usually an hour.
An hour?
Sometimes
Okay.
A couple of times they'll do it for 90 minutes.
Which for context is much longer than like a rotary processor like us. I mean, rotary processors anywhere from maybe 6 to 12 minutes,
Yes.
depending on the film, depending on the speed. So
Right.
this is a much longer process, it sounds
It's a
like.
longer process because you're using a much more diluted developer.
Okay.
So, and it just seems to work. So I do that for a lot of films.
You just leave it there and walk away.
I leave it there, walk
Go
away.
watch some
and-
TV.
Yeah. And they come out nice. And that's for the black and white. It's really great. I just want to say something about the slide film. Before there was E6 processing.
There
was
was.
E2 and E4.
E4. That's right.
Sarah would know. She's
I
on
would
it
know.
today.
Yes.
Because when she gets this in, we're like, no.
Yeah, I'm
what-
the one who forwards everything. I'm like,
Yes.
sorry, we
And one thing I
can't.
found out about E4, and it's probably the same for E2, is that the film was developed at a low temperature, like 68 degrees. It was not developed at 102 like
Oh,
some of the
yeah.
other. Because what happened was I had this roll of E4. I said, oh, this is nice. I think it was from 1980 or something like that. I shot it at box speed, and I wanted to cross-process it in C41. I developed it at 102 degrees. The emulsion melted off the film. I took it out. I poured the developer out.
should
It
be
looked, like,
laughing.
it looked like yellow milk. I said, what the heck is this?
Oh,
So I took the film out, and it was clear. All the emulsion came off. It
Yeah.
melted. So I finally, I should have Googled before, but I Googled afterward. And it says, oh, the E4 was developed at 68 degrees or some lower, or 65
Yeah, that's
degrees.
relatively cool, like 68
Yeah.
degrees.
Yes.
Wow.
So if I ever get another roll, but you can actually develop C41 at a lower temperature, but just for a longer time. I've done it for 20 minutes.
So you can
68
develop
degrees.
that film with C41 chemicals, just
At
lower
six-
temp, and it
at a
would
lower
work.
temp and for a longer time. And
Because what do we do with it?
We send it away.
you sense
We send it away to a lab.
The E4 and E2.
Yeah, we send it
Oh
to.
yeah, no, we don't.
Who do we send it to?
I'd have to check my
Well,
sticky
why did I
note.
mention this?
Yeah.
I think,
We-
don't
I think
try it.
it's
Don't
old
try to-
school.
Old school.
Old school
Yeah, there's a
photo.
few film labs that will kind of develop these outdated old processes that we don't do, or we clearly don't have the knowledge. And
Right.
now I know
Maybe
a little
we
better.
can.
Maybe we can, but we've always forwarded it to old school, and I
Yeah.
don't know what they do with it. Maybe what you're describing, but
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to tell you is that you don't try it yourself, because I don't know how you develop slide film. Do you do it manually in batches, or do you have a machine?
so yeah, it goes into a Jobo rotary processor,
Okay.
so like a Patterson tank type of thing.
Okay.
And the Jobo we have, it's a little bit more automated. You load up the film, put the chemicals into individual. I'll
and it
show you
ro- it
after.
rolls automatically
It rolls
for the
it,
specific
pulls in
times.
each chemical, and it warms it up to temperature.
Okay.
So it has a built-in E6 preset, so it warms it up to the 100-degree
Okay.
temperature.
Well,
And
don't put E4 film in that Jobo, because you'll get a mess. It'll melt the emulsion, and your customer will not be happy.
maybe we'll
Could we make a new template that would be E6 or E2 that would have it colder?
I don't know. Well, with the Jobo, if it was set to E6 or C41, it would go to temperature. So
Right.
you'd
Well,
have
I
to
will-
almost trick it like a black and white.
I will be more than
Because,
happy to
I mean,
send you
room
a roll.
temperature roughly of our chemicals would be about 68, 70 degrees if we mix
Yeah.
them with cold water.
Or if it needed to be colder than that, we could just stick it in the fridge for a little bit.
I have a
Do you have
small
one?
bin of expired slide film. So if I find one with that
It sounds like an
C4,
experimental video.
I'll send it to you.
Sounds
and you can try the C41 at 68 degrees and see what
C4.
happens. It won't melt. It won't melt off like it
good
did
thumbnail.
for me.
Okay.
It was just I just couldn't believe my eyes. I said, "What the heck did I do?" And I found out that it was a lower temperature development
temperature.
process.
Yeah, there used to be, even for color neg, process before C41. I can't remember the name of it.
K14.
C22 was prior
C22.
to that was prior to C41.
And I think that was not as hot either. I'd have to
I
double
don't
check.
know. I don't know. I have yet to develop a
'Cause
C22 roll successfully.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of blank rolls. I don't, because they had different chemicals
for him.
than C41.
Yeah.
So I'm trying stand, I'm trying shorter time, longer time. So when I get one that works, and mainly the Kodacolor X, if you get that's the film that was C22 before.
Yeah,
That was the film.
We probably get
that
those
film
in
was introduced with
periodically.
the Instamatic camera in 1963. So it said Kodacolor X, and that was the C22
Okay.
process. C41 started in 1977 with the Kodacolor 2. That was their first C41 film.
Yeah, we've gotten some old Kodacolor canisters.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some. I feel like we've seen some Kodacolor where it's an older process and some that are newer. Maybe when they
Yeah,
transition.
because some of the Kodacolor is K14, which
That's
that's
yeah.
Kodachrome,
Kodachrome. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you have the
which has
the
remjet.
Kodacolor,
Kodachrome
right?
has remjet.
right.
Yeah, so
don't even
we were
try
at breakfast this morning, and he's like, "Did you know Kodachrome has Wimjet?" And like right when you said it, I could picture the film in my mind. I'm like, "That's why it's black."
Yes.
That makes so much more
Black
sense.
coating, yes.
That
yes.
does
Yeah.
make sense.
So for you at home, if you try to develop a roll of Kodachrome yourself, it has remjet. So take that remjet off. 5 teaspoons of baking soda
Before you develop it.
with warm
Like a
water.
pre-wash.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
With warm water, 103 degrees. Shake it around for a minute. Let it sit for a minute. Rinse it well, and the remjet will come off, and then you can continue with your developing.
We've just been doing it as black and white.
Yep. So yeah, we do it as black and white, and we were
Yes. Well, yes. If I said develop, normally I meant develop in
Develop
black
as
and white.
black and white.
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
develop it in color.
Kodachrome chemistry stopped being produced 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Early
ish.
2000s.
Early
It was like a 14-step process. It was very
Very
complicated.
wild, but it definitely Kodachrome was one of the most popular films. Like so
in the
many,
day.
so
Oh,
many,
yeah.
so many photographers use that particular slide film.
My grandfather shot my parents' wedding with that camera and
With the Leica?
with Kodachrome
What?
slides.
on the Kodachrome.
That's-
Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some slides from their wedding.
1954 was the production date.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So they were
That's
married in
cool.
'56. So that's when he used it. And the thing about Kodachrome, it lasts forever. Once it's processed,
The slide?
the slide never fades.
Oh, yeah.
The reversal.
We've had
formula.
customers who maybe have discovered old slides, like boxes of slides, and just want us to scan them. And we make John do that because he loves scanning slide film. It's a little bit more of a process.
Yes.
I can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen slides from like 60s, 70s that are beautiful condition.
It looks like
Oh,
they were
yeah.
taken yesterday, right?
Yeah. If they were stored well, they're not dirty, good environment. Yeah, we'll literally get them in the scanner. We'll scan it, and it looks so good. But then again, you know it's an old photo because you're seeing the old clothing or the
Yes.
old cars.
Right, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing film. And they keep saying, oh, will it come back? It probably won't because there's environmental things. I think a lot of the chemicals
Probably,
you can't
the
use
chemistry
anymore.
that would be poo-poo, frowned upon.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think if they keep improving Ektachrome, I think they may find the right mix to make it last longer. The colors are very good. I haven't shot Ektachrome that much, 100, the new one.
Yeah.
But the cameras are very, I mean, the emulsion is very, very nice.
Yeah, no, it's a good slide film.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, like we had mentioned earlier with Fuji slide film is so hard to get. I don't know if they're just not producing it as much, but it's pretty much the only slide film that you can readily get nowadays is
Yeah.
the Ektachrome.
If I may, one more roll of expired film that I want to mention to you that I got this from. I know that's the nice thing about the film community is that they like to share a film with each other. They'll send me some film, I'll send them some film. It's really very nice. I think it's a nice thing.
Yeah, I think with
So-
Instagram, you're able to connect with a lot of different
Yeah,
people.
it's
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a guy, Nick LoPresti in Texas. You know him?
I'm laughing because he's so funny.
He's very funny. He's
All right, after the
amazing.
podcast, I'll have to show you. He just has such an eccentric personality. And I mean
Yes.
that in a very good way.
Yes,
Like, I'm
yes.
not doubting, but
He has a whole series of film where people.
if film were people,
He
That
pretends.
sounds hilarious.
yeah.
You know, so say hi. I'm.
Ultra is like
I'm
the
ultra.
snobby,
Yeah.
you know, look at your toast.
Or he'll say I'm.
I got to
ultra-
show them to you
He says,
after.
hi, I'm Ultramax 400. Then he turns around, puts the glasses with the nose. Hi, I'm Fuji 400. It's really the same, but it's in disguise. You know, that's so he's very creative.
Yeah.
But he sent me a roll that he rolled up from a 100-foot roll of a film that Kodak made. It was considered high speed before Tri-X came out. It was called Super XX.
Yeah, has he been bulk rolling this?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen some of his
He
content
sent me
lately.
a roll. He tested how to shoot it and how to develop it. And when it first came out, it was a 200 speed film. And people used it for indoor portraits. It was a high speed for the time.
Yeah, 200 at the time.
You're talking about the day where 25 and 125 were the speeds of the film back in the day. So he sent me the film and he gave me instructions: shoot it at ISO 1.6 and develop it for 3 hours. Stand developed 3 hours. So I did that. and I got images. It was just amazing. This was filmed from 1952. Wow. That was when it expired.
When it expired?
It expired in 1952.
Wow.
Because they don't make it. I think they stopped making it.
Probably
once-
production
once
late
Tri-X
40s.
That's
yeah.
wild.
Once Tri-X came out in the 50s, they stopped making Super XX because
His Tri-X is 70 because it came out in the 50s.
That's right. That's right.
Not
I
100
don't
years
know
old.
why I thought 100.
Well, they did.
When it turns 100, we'll buy
to
more
be true-
poppers and we'll really go crazy.
and then this
And
building
then
will be
It'll
it'll
full
still-
of them.
it'll- that one will still be up
It's
there.
still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, those are from our poppers from our Tri-X video.
Oh,
They
yeah, I
launched
remember
up and
that.
got
Yes.
stuck in the roof.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though the roofers have been trying to knock them down.
Yeah, we got a new roof on this whole building, and they've been banging around, and some of them have been slowly falling this week.
That's so funny. Well, Mike, you're not entirely wrong because Tri-X was available before that
Okay.
in sheet film and in 120, and I think 620 as well. So it wasn't made until in 35 millimeter and in 400 speed until 1954.
Was there lower speed
It was
Tri-Xs?
320
Okay, that's what
before-
maybe
beforehand.
that's where my mind was going.
Yeah, so it was available. And it
Exactly.
was mainly used by professional photographers, not for. But Tri-X when 35 was made for consumers, so it just took off like a shot. But anyway, the Super X, it was just amazing. So I have a post on that if you want to find it. And
Of course. Yeah, it's I'm
lots of grain, but you can actually make out what it is, and you can tell it's expired film. But it was pretty amazing to see. Go ahead.
I'm super excited to shoot some expired film. Thanks to you. Speaking of the love and the
you
care.
reached
Brought
out
us another bag of expired film.
Even though we have
When
the one
you
from
visited
his
us
first visit.
a year ago, 6
Yeah.
months ago. I don't
A year
remember what
ago.
it was,
It was
and
a
you
year
gave us
ago.
some film, and we never shot it.
Well, now you
we
know
still
no,
have it.
no excuses not to
No
make the
excuses
video.
this time, and this time he brought an even bigger bag,
Yeah.
a Ziploc bag of old
try it,
videos.
just for fun.
He's
Well, I
means
wanted
we
to do a
have to
YouTube
do a
video
video
on it.
Yes.
And one of our previous podcasts, we put it on the table, and we're like, we're gonna do. We kind of
Yeah,
have a
you gave me a
lineup of
mention of
videos that
everything.
are in the queue right now. We're
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
we're kind of at the point where we're producing our videos where we have 4 or 5 weeks out, which is nice because then when we're busy here, we can be like not feel pressure to make one. But then we have a lineup of ideas of videos. We have a video like on ECN2 film that we're needing to do.
That we need to do. I was literally going to ask.
Dave from
the-
Flick
Fuji-
Film.
or-
Flick-
yeah,
Flick
Yeah,
film.
flick film is what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah. He sent us a free ECN2 developing kit as a way to get us to promote and to shoot and develop ECN2.
Which would be nice because I send so many rolls of ECN2 away because people don't know the difference between the two. And so they'll send them as color. But then when
would you say that's the most common film we forward out?
Yeah, that and APS. Those
Yeah,
would be the
APS.
two. Although APS, it's annoying, but like we could hypothetically do it if we got a couple different.
APS was the
Pieces.
idea of like this is where film was going to go, and then digital came on the scene and killed it.
It killed
Yeah.
it, yes.
Yeah. It
Although they
did.
do use the sensors in digital from that size of the APS film. That's where it comes from.
APS-C sensor. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
That's cool.
But I just bought a few rolls because I do have an APS camera. When it came out, I bought it, and I decided, but I'm going to try. I'm going to see if the camera still works. I'm going to try, and I bought a real 3D printed film reel to develop it. So I'll let you know
How
if
it
I have
goes.
if I have success.
There you go.
Developing it.
Well, I mean, you helped me figure out my error of the last role that I tried to send here to get developed. I just for whatever reason didn't get it latched on. Mike's like, "Did you shoot this roll? Because everything's blank." It's like,
He's like, yeah.
I thought there was something wrong with the camera. Nope, I just didn't put it in right.
Yeah.
And this guy showed me how. I'm like, oh, I totally didn't put
That
it.
is-
I did a methodical test. First I made sure that the shutter was opening. You know, I looked. I had the door open. I
You're the
shot
newbie now,
camera.
Paul.
I'm a total noob when it comes to film.
Come on,
I shoot
Paul.
digital
That's okay.
all the way, but
You
hey,
even shot
I
my newbie video.
I love analog film. It's been great.
Sierra went from the newbie video to the Ilford video and crushed John and Ava, so she's like pro now.
Yeah, she's
Well,
pro.
I also answer all the customer service emails. So like, a lot of people email me like, "Hey,
Yes.
do you know why my role was blank?" And I'm like, "Well, here are like
Here are
the
a
top
multitude of
3
reasons.
options."
Yeah.
And one of the things I told Paul is that when you load your film, on the old cameras that where you manually rewind the film, once it's all loaded and you close the door, just rewind the crank until it's a little tight, and then as you advance the film, that should spin, and that'll tell you that you
Yeah, that's a
you
good
had
way to
loaded
know
it
it's
correctly.
going. Didn't even think
It's
about
another
Yeah.
good reason for me to get a newer Canon, so I can just like use the modern way. No, I'm just
You
kidding.
should still learn the old
And
way.
just so you know, the Canon that you want to get, what it does, it actually extracts the whole roll of film onto the other side, and then as you shoot it, it goes backwards into the cartridge.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Just so you know.
We
So-
actually had a reusable disposable camera.
That's an
Have that
oxymoron.
the other. I know
Oh,
it
really?
is, but that's the best way to describe them. Where the customer was so confused, and I couldn't figure it out either because I had never had one of those before. But you literally wind the film over.
Yeah, it starts
all
out
the way
extracted,
first.
and then as you take the picture in those disposable cameras, it actually
Was
puts it
hers the
back-
one though? You had to manually
You had to manually wind it all out.
all the way out. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
'cause there's
because
some
it was
point
like
shoots, like what you're describing. It will do it for you, but this
Oh,
one,
this one has just a battery for the flash. Like it does nothing else on its own. So you literally had to advance it all the way first and then shoot it back in. And this poor customer, I felt so bad.
Oh my
I could
goodness.
not
we were
figure it out.
advising her. I'm like, yeah, this is how your camera works. Then she like brought it in. We're like, oh, yours is opposite, and I don't think we've really seen this much before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy.
People also take those Fun Saver Kodak cameras that have the 800 film.
Mm-hmm.
Some photographers will take the camera and then they'll cover the lens and shoot all of the film
All blank,
to bring
yep.
it back into the cartridge. And they'll open it up, take the cartridge, and then load it into their SLR as a way to get a little less expensive
800.
Portrait 800.
Yeah.
So they'll
That's
be doing that.
interesting. Speaking
But
of
it doesn't. The film, I think, to me, that film is like the old Max 800. It's not Portrait 800 in those disposable cameras.
oh, yeah, I
I
wouldn't
think
think they put
because,
Portrait in there.
There was a time when they had Max 400 and Max 800.
Yep.
So
We'll
selling
see
at the
those.
same
People will
time.
send those in, like old
yeah.
film. Hey, I found some old film, and it will be, Max 800 or Superior 800, Superior 1600.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I wish
that's
we
right.
had 1600 still.
What did you want to
Goodness.
say, Sierra?
speaking of disposable cameras,
Yes.
we have these Ilford cameras that they are selling a lot because they're being sold to us for very cheap. But
Very cheap.
they're short dated for this month and next month. And I have a lot of people ordering them and then asking me like, hey, I'm freaking out. This is for my wedding. This is for an important event.
Yeah.
Are these cameras still good? Would you have any advice for
Generally, they are still good as long as you're storing them. I mean, this place is pretty cool. You don't have them sitting out by your window in the sun. They should be okay. Usually, 1 to 2 to 3 months after expiration, I can still consider it fresh film, and it'll be just fine.
Okay.
If you're talking about a year after it, I would say don't use it for a wedding or anything very important because you don't know how it'll react.
Okay.
But like a month or 2 or 3 after expiration, use it like a regular camera. It'll develop fine. You don't have to do anything special to it. It should be okay.
What about that mid-range? Would you advise them to ask us to push it during processing, or how if it wasn't like May or June?
Only if it were 10 years older. That's when you start having to, push process a stop or whatever. But like I said, if it's a couple of months, it should be okay.
Okay.
More than that, don't use it for anything super important.
And I think
that's what
I
I would recommend.
I think that's a great way to close out this first section here. And if you stay tuned for section 2, we're going to get more tips on shooting expired film. I think he's got a lot of great input for settings and stuff like that. So
Paul drank way too much at breakfast. He needs a break.
Get a bio break. Bio
He had
break.
like 3 cups of coffee, so we'll see you in a few minutes.
Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to this week's podcast, Shooting Expired Film. So, it is true, we are going to be giving away some of these mugs, so leave us a comment down below. Do you shoot expired film? What do you think about it? What's your process? Have you learned anything from Anthony today? Because I know we have, and you could be picked. You could be picked, maybe. We'll see. Back to the episode.
all right, well, man, I definitely got all that coffee out of the system. So we are back
He
now.
drank a lot of coffee. Yeah, he's my witness.
Yes.
It was like
a lot.
3 or 4 cups
drink a lot
at
of
breakfast.
coffee.
I mean, at least it wasn't soda, but it was morning time, so I had to do coffee today. So we are back the second half here, and I thought it'd be a great way to talk about. As we were driving here today, he was just telling me some of the tips for shooting expired film and how to expose for it properly based on how old the film is. And so
Yeah.
I think that's a great topic to talk about here
Okay.
with the pro master here of shooting expired film.
Sure. Yes. So these are the rules I follow for each type of film. And I know I started speaking about it before, but I'll just go over it again because it's really important to expose the film properly. So, like I said, for color negative film, for every 10 years, you add a stop of light. So either through your aperture or what I do, I just divide the ISO in half. And then if it's another stop, you divide it in half again. So for example, 400 film is 20 years old. You go 400, 200, I would shoot it at 100. That's color negative film. Slide film, I shoot at box speed because it retains the emulsion, but the only thing that happens is colors will shift.
And they shift dramatically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. So that's slide film, or this as reversal film.
Which I think that's a good point, because I think sometimes we'll get customers who send in slide film fresh or old,
Yes.
and their exposure is all over the place.
Yeah.
And they'll write us saying, well, why are my photos so bright or so dark? And I'm like, well, when they're so bright, unlike color negative, we have no ability to pull that back during scanning. So slide film is like you're locked in on what you're locked in
It
on.
has a very small exposure latitude
Yeah.
to begin with. Whereas negative film, you can be 2-3 stops over and above, and you'll still get a good picture, and you can edit it properly. But with Ektar or slide film such as that, you have to be as close as you can to what your meter says on the camera, because even if you overexpose it and you bring it into Photoshop, for example, it won't give you much leeway. You can't darken it like you can a color negative film photo.
It's like clipping your images like digital
Yes.
shooting. You're clipping the highlights. They're done. They're cooked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, black and white film lasts a long time. I found that you really don't have to use those rules like for color negative for black and white. You can shoot box speed on black and white film at least 30, even 40 years. Most of the time. So 40 years goes back. We're talking about the 80s, 9, 10, 11, 12. So
Can you believe that 40 years ago was the 80s?
I know, it's crazy.
That's wild. That's almost older than my parents.
10, 20, yeah,
Almost. Yeah.
that's 40. So I've
He
had,
actually is older than my dad.
Well, yeah, your parents were 80s kids, right? Born in the 80s.
Early 80s.
Early 80s.
and a lot of times I'll use my own judgment. So for example, I had a box of Tri-X from 1981, 120 film. So normally I would shoot it at box speed, 400, but I was thinking, let me try 200. Sometimes you have to use your judgment. For example, if the box looks a little worn, like it's been stored in an attic, or if it looks like it's been dropped in some water and abused, I'll say, all right, I think I better add a stop of light to this film because the box. But if you get a pristine looking box, it was probably sitting in a shelf, or in a fridge, and it was handled properly. I would say it's okay to, from the 80s, 90s, to shoot it at box speed, and it'll come out pretty nice. And also, like I said, I mentioned the stand developed. That I develop most of my black and white, if not all, using the stand method, because that method allows you to shoot any ISO using the same procedure, the same process, the same time, and it all comes out the same way. So it's an easy way to do that. And like I said, the Ilford films are very good. They last a long time. I have some FP4 from 1999. I have a whole brick of them.
Is that what's one of the ones you gave us?
I
Actually,
gave
I
you
grabbed
one
the
of-
bag of film he brought
Yes.
us today.
I gave you one of those.
So this is from
and you
1999.
can shoot it at 125 and it'll come out beautifully.
This is where they had the old school
Yes, the black
style.
box. Yeah.
They're
Whenever-
trying to do a retro right now.
Yeah,
but-
well, yeah, they had the retro one, which is
Yeah, it's-
really old.
Yes, I think that's even before that design,
Yeah, I think the retro is like definitely,
like the 60s, I think, right?
yeah, or
Or
before.
70s.
But Ava likes these particular canisters with the cursive, so whenever
Oh,
we get them in,
okay.
she collects them.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Give-
yeah, so this
you should
is
give it to
this
her.
expired October 2002, so it was probably produced late
close.
90s.
Yes,
Yeah,
and you shoot it at 125,
and this
it'll come
'cause
out
this box is
beautifully.
very clean.
Yes.
so nothing wrong with that
Yes.
That's cool.
one. I'm kind of curious what else you
Yeah,
gave us.
go ahead.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
take a
pass
look.
them around.
So this, technical pan. That's
What
an
is
int-
this?
Technical,
Technical pan
Yes,
film.
it's an interesting film. This is an ISO 25 film
Wow.
from Kodak, and it's on a clear base. You develop it, and
Okay.
it's clear except for the image, so they really stand out.
Man.
And it's an ISO 25, and you can shoot it at 25. It'll come out really nice. You
Okay,
can-
so this one expired. Actually, a very good year, probably one of the greatest years of mankind, 1987. Just a little bias there, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
But there's an actual sticker on here, $2.49
Wow.
for this roll in 1987.
That
What type of
shows
film was that?
the film
This is the
price.
technical pan in
Technical
120.
pan.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That
And they
That-
don't show the ISO on the box, I don't think. You have to go
Yeah,
inside.
this one doesn't have the ISO.
A
I'm
lot
not
of them
seeing
have
it.
the paper insert when they still made the paper inserts. Have you ever seen those?
Mm-hmm.
It's like all accordion folded and you unfold it, and
Yeah.
there it tells you the ISO.
This looks really good. I mean, this box is 30. How old am I? I will be 38 this year. So this
Okay.
is almost 38 years old.
Yeah.
Actually, it probably is 38 because this is when it expired. So it's over 38.
Yes.
But this looks really like it's in really
Yeah.
good condition.
This one's in 1980,
Yeah,
and it looks
I
like
saw
it
that
almost has like a little bit of like water damage on the front of the box. I don't know what happened there. So
Oh, it's
you
a little
might
crinkly. Okay,
it
well
might
then,
crinkly.
So
You
in
might-
that
what's
case-
that?
in that case, I would shoot it at 200 just to be safe. You can shoot that's a roll of 120, so maybe shoot two frames at 200, some at 400. And I found sometimes Tri-X from the 80s might have a little bit of haze, but you can fix it in Photoshop and add a little contrast and it'll look beautiful.
So that 25. I mean, you can't go a ton lower than 25. I mean, 25. What do you? How do you shoot this?
The technical pan? Well,
technical
since it's
pan.
black and white.
Oh,
you can
black
shoot
and
it
white,
at
it'll last
25.
longer.
Yes.
Okay.
But if that were color, like I shot the Ektar 25, that's 25 ISO as well. I just divided it in half twice. I went to 12 to 6, and 6 was enough. It seemed
Okay.
to be enough. I really was going by the seat of my pants there. I wasn't quite sure that was enough. I should have done more on the 1000. I should have done it at 100, but that's the way it is with expired film. You just do your best guess. You follow the rule, and then, see how it goes.
This one doesn't have an expiration date that I can find. Oh
Let's
wait,
see.
hold on.
What kind
It
of
might
film?
be embossed on it. 06.
Yeah, a lot of them are embossed. They're not printed.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
printed.
1995.
Agfa. Yeah, that's a brand that was pretty popular.
That was a big filmmaker
big
along
filmmaker
with Kodak. in
with
the,
Kodak, but they don't make film anymore,
No.
as far as I know.
I think it's made by another company. There is an Agfa APX, you see, 400 that's being sold now.
Is it?
But it's not really the old Agfa of Germany. It's made. I
Yeah.
think it's made by somebody else now. I
Yeah,
think.
so we have a 121, 2006. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Plushlex,
January.
what Paul is holding there in his hands, hot little hands. That was
They don't make this anymore, right?
they don't make it anymore. That was Kodak's competition to FP4. It's the same ISO, 125.
Yeah, it's black and white.
And it's black and white film. And that one you can shoot up. What year
It
was
was 1990. It was old
1990.
as my brother.
So this one expired in
1995, I think.
95. So they definitely produced early
Definitely shoot it
90s.
at 125 and you'll get
Does that have the Olympic
decent
rings on
results.
That's kind of cool.
Official professional film of the Olympic Games.
Oh.
That's kind of cool.
Probably the 1996
Now, when you're buying this,
Olympic.
Where was the 1996 Olympics?
Atlanta.
Yep.
There you
Oh, man, trivia.
I knew
I knew that one. Yeah.
I did
So
not know
when
that.
you're
Yes.
buying, what kind of tips do you have for people who are looking for expired film?
Well, it helps to develop it yourself because if you, excuse me, if you send the film to you guys, it's hard to judge. You don't know how it was shot by the user. If the user just put it in an automatic camera, for example, if they took an old, like a 20-year-old of Gold 200 and shot it normally, and you developed it normally, it'll be underexposed because it needs more light, film like that. So when you're buying expired film, it helps to develop it yourself because you really don't know how it's going to come out, and sometimes you have to either adjust the development process, adjust your exposure in the camera to make sure it comes out correctly. And a lot of times you can't follow the chart, the massive depth chart, where you get your times and dilutions, because that's really made for fresh film. Expired film sometimes may not come out the way you expect. And I think John had said in a video, if you're using expired film, don't use it for anything important. Only use fresh film for important events and family gatherings and things like that. Use expired film for fun. So if you want to dabble in it, get some film from eBay, not too old. Keep to the 2000s. Use my rule. If it's color negative, add a stop for each decade since its expiration, and shoot it at that extra light. And then that, especially if it's in the 2000s, you may be able to send it to our friends at Reform Film Lab, because if they just develop it normally and you expose it properly, it'll come out
Oh, yeah.
fine.
Oh, yeah.
It'll come out a little grainy, maybe
Little grainy, little faded color.
a little color
Yeah.
shift. But the person who sent it will know that because it is expired, and they have to, they'll expect it won't look like fresh film for sure. But sometimes it does. Like, for example, there's one expired film that really stood the test of time. And that's the Fuji Superior 400. That film really does stand the test of time. It's kind of the exception to the rule. It will come out if you shoot it at box speed, and it's 20 years old, but it's Fuji Superior.
I believe you gave
It'll
me a
come
box of that.
Did I?
I remember seeing it in
okay.
my baggie. I
There
think
you
that's
go.
my gifty bag.
Give it a shot.
I'm excited about that one.
Okay.
I really like Fuji film colors, and so
Just make sure you load the film correctly.
Yeah, make sure you
yeah.
get it all the way in the slot. Ratchet it while the door's open. And
When you brought that roll of film, I totally forgot about it. And you text me like 2 weeks later and you're like, what happened to that film? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that was blank. Yeah, totally forgot to tell you.
You're a loser. Sorry.
Oh
That's
dear.
okay. That's how you learn. That's how you learn with film photography.
Absolutely. You got to do it. You just go out there and do it. But so you were saying,
Yes, go ahead.
obviously eBay is a good place to find, but is there any other tips you have for finding good expired film and what to look for when you're buying it?
If they show pictures of the box, make sure the box.
Make sure the box is maybe good looking.
Yes, make sure the box looks crisp and clean, not water damaged. Because I've purchased a box of 35 millimeter film where the box was a little crinkly and wet. When I opened it, it was rusty. The canister was rusty, so it had been probably in a flood.
Oh, yeah, that's
dropped in the
not
pool
usable.
and forgot about it. And they took it out and let it dry, and they said, "Oh, I think I'll sell it now." So that that may be a warning.
Vintage film.
That's a red flag. If the box doesn't look good, I would stay away from it. And also, if you're buying film on eBay, buy it where they have a quantity of them for sale, because that will make your cost per roll go down slightly. True. And especially if they say make an offer. Try to save yourself a little money.
Yeah, because you could probably have people sitting on expired film that they're just not straight up selling. And if you offer them and they're like, yeah, I just want to get rid of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And some of them sell
Kind of
it.
like these glasses. He just really wants to get rid of these. So
I know, I love it. And so that's my number one tip. And also for those who are doing it for the first time, buy the film from the 2000s and forward for color film. Black and white film, you can go back to the 80s and 90s, and you'll be reasonably assured that it'll be pretty successful.
So what kind
But
of
you don't know how
cool-
it's being stored. See, if it's really stored bad, and then sometimes you can't tell by the box, you're going to get color film that's all grainy and foggy, and the colors
Yeah.
will not be right. But that's you take a chance with any expired film.
Right,
you
absolutely.
do take a chance. But that's the fun of it, seeing how it comes out. I wasn't sure how that Jar 1000,
Yeah.
and it surprised me. So it was kind of cool looking.
So what kind of looks do you typically get with the expired film? I mean, I know that obviously the film is faded and some of the
Yes.
colors aren't as strong.
The grain will be pronounced on color film. Grain will be pronounced on expired color film. Colors may shift slightly. They may be more warm or more green or more magenta, depending on how the emulsion stood the test of time. For black and white film, you'll get more fog. If it's really old, it'll be more fog. It looks like you're looking through a fog, just like on a foggy morning.
It's like you're putting a mist filter on or something.
Yes, that's right. That's how a lot of them will come out. What I would suggest is add a little contrast. Contrast will help break up the fog. There's also a dehaze function in Photoshop that will strip a lot of that haze off the image, and it'll look a little better. I know these people say, "Oh, you can't edit." Well, with expired film, editing is really a
You're in good company right now.
necessity.
All the
I know
non-editors
John,
are at work
John
right
is the
now.
one that
Excuse me?
doesn't like to edit,
Wait,
right?
you don't edit your photos?
I do not edit my
Okay.
photos.
Well, she doesn't know how to
I
edit
also-
very well,
but
so that's
expired
why.
film-
That,
Oh,
Pretty sure
I
I
wouldn't
did.
anyway.
Expired film is the exception. Add a little contrast to expired black and white, and it'll look really, really nice. So that's all.
All right. That sounds like a good exception rule.
Yeah.
Well, I don't shoot enough film to care that much anyway.
And slide film, I would.
But when she does shoot film,
it's like pro.
it's a
like,
banger.
It's good. Yes. With your Canon, you're the one with the Canon A1, right?
Yeah, I have
Yes.
a camera.
Everybody has an A1.
She doesn't need
you
those
know.
modern features, Paul.
Oh
She
my
just
gosh.
all manual.
All she needs is
that's a
those
great
like special
camera.
gloves on, and she just rolls out there and shoots a banger.
My compression gloves.
Yep.
The first time I saw
That's
a
her
Canon
secret
A1,
sauce.
I vividly remember when the Canon A1 first came out. I think it was in the late 70s, but I was at Rutgers in the photography class, and the guy brought this is 1980. Of course, that dates me now, but I was at a photography class, and he brought in the A1. He was showing everybody.
Like it just came out?
Yes.
Nice.
And it was unusual that it was shutter priority rather than aperture priority, right? The Canon A1 is shutter priority.
Yeah, you adjust, say, we'll do the
choose
aperture for you.
shutter,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
aperture is automatically adjusted
yeah.
for you. And I said, gee, this is amazing. It was an amazing camera, because one other camera that I have that I didn't tell you is another grandfather found this a Pentax Spotmatic on a bus in Paterson, New Jersey. He found it, gave it to my father, because that's how it was. You didn't give it to the kid, you gave it to the father. So he had it in his drawer for many years. So in the 70s, I bought a fresh box of Plus X for the first time and shot it at the park, this park, back in I think it was 78, 79. And I was amazed. It was a beautiful camera. The lens was tack sharp, the two-Kumar lens, I think you pronounce it. But it's a beautiful camera. So people have the Spotmatics by Pentax. It was a beautiful. That was the predecessor to the K1000. That's very popular with people today.
Yeah, yeah, that one's pretty.
It was
popular.
based on the K1000 was based on the Spotmatic series that Pentax did. So, yeah. So it's amazing that the young people, and I love to see the young people embrace film photography, because it's special. It's different from digital. You have to slow your pace, think about frame your shot, think about what you're doing, check your exposure, and then you click the shutter. It's pretty amazing. And you only have 24 or 36,
Right. To get it right.
And
Yeah.
some film you'll find, I don't know if I didn't bring a box. Some, before there were 24 exposures, there was 20. 20 was the
Yeah, we'll
average.
sometimes see those.
We have
Yeah.
those occasionally,
And not very often.
Yeah,
but
I think
we'll
it was
sometimes
80,
see some 20
83
exposure.
or 84. They expanded to be 24 exposures instead of 20, and that's
Right.
how it came to be. And they even made 12 exposure, 35, but they don't make those anymore. I saved
Yeah.
those from my Olympus. The name escapes me. The half frame camera that Olympus made.
Those are the
Okay.
Pen F or
Pen F.
Yeah, Pen F.
Pen F and yes. So I have a bunch of 12 exposure expired films that I'll save for the Pen F, because I just can't fathom doing 72 exposures.
Yeah, I feel like the 12 exposure rolls, because I remember even as a kid being into film photography, those you would like buy a camera and Kodak would throw that in with the camera.
Yes.
It's kind of like a sample, get you started.
Yes,
And then,
yes.
of course, when you go buy more film, you get 24 or 36. But that was kind of like a promo type thing, or
Yes.
just kind of a freebie with a
It's
camera
like,
purchase.
it's like your kit lens,
kit lens,
Yeah.
a kit roll of film.
Didn't
Yes.
Double Film just come out with, or Flick Film come out with a half frame camera and
yeah.
18 exposure rolls?
Yeah, so they have their half frame. The
that.
Flick Film now has, we don't have the color yet, it's coming, but they have a black and white and a color 18 exposure.
Oh, wow.
So that when you shoot your half frame, you get 36.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
that's cool.
rationale behind it was like if you wanted to not have to go through all 72, if
Yes.
you wanted to shoot 36 and switch to black and white.
Yes.
And I remember when they announced it, they kind of got maybe some people commented on their social media, this is dumb, this and that. But
No, I think
we,
that's a great
we sell
idea.
a lot of it. So clearly
Yeah.
there's a market for it where people
Yes.
who shoot the half frame, either the old Pen Fs or the new half frames, the Pentax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because 72, it's a long time to
That's
get
a
through
long
72
time.
photos.
Yeah.
In fact, it's funny. Before the digital era, people would be taking film photography. They'd only take like 6 pictures, and they would sit in the camera until the next event, like from one birthday till Christmas.
Oh,
the
yeah.
same roll would be in the camera. That's how it was back
I
then.
do that still.
Because you didn't want to waste film. There was no digital. So they would take, 8 birthday pictures, and then the camera would go in the drawer until Christmas time or Hanukkah time or whatever holiday you celebrate.
whatever comes up.
And then you get all kinds of that, and then they would use the camera again. And
Next
then
thing you know, you have expired film.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, which is probably why, like, even Kodak says, hey, for our pro films, we recommend you use them fairly quickly. They expire a ways
Yes,
out.
they recommend using
But they
right
use them
away.
quickly. And then with consumer films, they're like, we've designed these to be spread out. And I think Tim from Kodak basically said that was the reason, is people would shoot an event, put their camera away, then the next event would come up. And so they could have that long-term storage. Or if they bought a
Yes.
3-pack of film, they're not going to use that third roll until several months out, especially
That's right.
pre-digital,
That's
digital
right.
world, the pre-cell phone world.
Yes. And on that
Digital
note,
smartphone.
there's a film that Kodak made in the late 80s called Ektar Press. It was made specifically for press photographers with magazines and newspapers. And it was made so that it did not need to be refrigerated for the emulsion to last longer. It came in 100, 400, and 1600 ISOs.
Yeah. I think we've seen maybe some of those, not very often. I'm looking at you because you check in all the film.
I know, I do check in
She's
all
a
the time.
registrar of all these films.
Somewhere in there.
It says Ektar Press Gold. It was called Ektar Press
Yeah.
Gold, and it was 100, 400, and 1600. I have a couple of those rolls, and I had posted a few of them on my Instagram. But I did I
Thanks, Paul.
I shot the 100. I think at the 400, I shot at 100 because it was from the 90s, and it was specifically, like I said, it was specifically made so that it didn't need to be refrigerated. These press photographers can keep it in their pockets and go traveling all over the place, and the film would still be good for them to use to send into Life magazine or the New York Times or wherever they were shooting for. So that was it. And it's one of the films you don't see that often. Kodak made so many different films for so many different applications. You know, like the technical pan was for scientists. They make a photo micrography film for microscopes, so they can take pictures of their little cells and viruses and all that.
That's so
because there was
cool.
no digital, so they had to make these specialized films to do all these amazing things.
Yeah, I remember I was listening to a lecture once of a scholar of like old Greek Bible manuscripts, and he's an older scholar, and he was talking about so back in the day we'd have you couldn't get your hand on these manuscripts, or like one of a kind in a museum, right, or in the Vatican or somewhere, and so you would have photos taken on film, and he's like, and then when digital came, it got so much better, so to speak, because you could get even more resolution at the time. He had some rationale for it, but it was just funny. He said there were, he was talking about those films,
Imagine the pressure of you going into a library that won't let you take out an old manuscript, and you had to take pictures with film and not knowing how it's going to come out. Is your one
Yeah, you
shot
can't
to
check.
go there? Can you imagine the stress? Like, how do you, what exposure?
And then you have
what
a lot of
film do I
people who
use?
want to see those images, because if you're the photographer, then, because he was talking about as a scholar studying old Greek manuscripts of the Bible, of how, like, there just wasn't a lot of that. And now with digital coming on the scene, it allowed a lot more access in terms of, different scholars having access to that research and things like that. But Kodak making very specific films for very specific processes.
Yes, they did. They made a lot of specialized films. So once in a while when I see an eBay, I'll snatch it.
No,
And
there
I'll
you
just
go.
try it.
Yeah.
I'll just try it. What the heck? What have I got to lose? So I'll use my best judgment, expose it at a certain ISO, develop it a certain way. And this one film it's a slide film. What's it called? That I try. No matter what I've done, I couldn't get a photo out of it. Nothing worked. I develop it, it's blank. I develop it again, it's blank. And it was a I can't remember the name. I wish I could remember the name. It was the film that not Portrait. It's a different one before Portrait. A color film that they made. VariChrome. Not VariChrome. VariColor. It's a VariColor slide film. And it was a low ISO that was made for titles, making titles for presentations. So it was meant to be developed with specific chemicals. But I said, I could shoot it, sure. I think I've used 4 rolls of film, all blank. I can't get the right
concoction.
I tried stand development
Yeah.
color. I tried regular. I tried low temperature C41. Nothing worked. I don't do E6. Probably E6 might be another way to try, but that's a challenging film that I haven't been able to. So the answer to the question, Anthony, what film have you failed at? It's this VariColor slide film.
Okay.
That is not. I can't get it to
So
work.
for our viewers,
Yes,
just
if
don't even
anybody
bother
knows how to
trying.
get it.
Don't even bother.
If he can't get it, nobody can.
Don't try it. You won't get success. But it's very interesting, like you said, the specialized films that Kodak made in
Yeah.
the day. It's just amazing to see. And if you get your hands on one, give it a try. You never know what you'll get.
So my question, and we'll use this to kind of close out
Yes.
today, is what has been your favorite expired film? Because you have a variety of experience. What has been your favorite?
Well, okay, I do have a favorite, and it's VariChrome Pan because I'm able to use it in a lot of the vintage cameras that you don't see anymore.
Okay.
They made VariChrome Pan in 620, 127. They didn't make it in 35 millimeter. So only on a roll. They made it in, for the older films, they made it in 116, 626. Those are old sizes you don't see anymore.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of old Brownie cameras that use 620 and 127. So I kind of, back in the day, grabbed up as much VariChrome Pan because it came in those sizes. And like I said, the results were amazing. They came out really beautiful, and it gave me the experience of using these cameras that you can't buy film for anymore. You can't buy 120. Well, actually, you can buy 127. I think Shanghai GP3 makes a 127. That you can buy
there's a
on
few
eBay.
companies out there that respool or custom make
Respool
it,
And
freestyle
sometimes the paper is a
photo.
little too thick.
Yeah.
I've used it a few times and it jammed in the camera.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to turn the little knob
The
for the
knobs,
roll
yeah.
film. But if you have 620 VariChrome Pan film and you have an old 620 box camera or a Brownie camera from the late 50s, they make a Brownie camera that's kind of upright and it takes 620. Give it a try and it'll come out really nice. You'll be very surprised. That's one of my favorite black
right.
and white
Oh,
films.
sweet.
Along with, but I do like Tri-X, my favorite all-time black and white film.
70
Just
years
to throw it
old.
out there. That's right, 70 years
70.
old.
What would you say is your favorite colored one?
Oh, geez. I do like Ultramax very much for feature film. That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
All
Ultramax
right.
120.
Well, we are going to show Anthony
Sunlight.
more.
I'd like to see that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 120. Well, we're going to show Anthony a little bit more of the lab today. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for bringing Paul today.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you so
I
much.
picked him up. He
this
was
is like
wandering
my
aimlessly about it. Come on. let's
Paul
go."
is still on no driving duty. What, only one more month?
about one more. Yes, one more month
From his
today,
DUI.
yeah.
I'm just joking. No, not. Watch our previous podcast. We talk about why Paul's not driving, but you'll be driving soon.
Yes.
And,
It was a pleasure being
yeah,
here.
so
I
Anthony,
love
Anthony
speaking with
came
you
down
guys.
from New Jersey to Florida, picked up Paul, and then drove to the lab today to be on our podcast.
There you go.
So
That's
thanks
it
for-
in a nutshell.
thanks for doing that.
Oh,
for
you're
us.
welcome.
Thanks.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks for all your wisdom on expired film.
My pleasure.
Folks, we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
All right.
That was good.